What's up, guys? AlwaysRogue. 3 things that must stay in PoE 2 and 3 things that must go. Let's get right into it. The first thing, in my opinion, super polarizing. I don't care. This is my opinion. The Infinite Atlas, especially when we're talking about the exploration. The best part about PoE 2's endgame, in my opinion, is that you have an explorable, interesting Atlas system. It's not a monotonous do all these maps of this tier first, and then do all these maps of this tier next, and then do all these maps of this tier next, and you're just going one after another just to do basic completion. So what am I doing in the PoE2 Atlas? I'm exploring, I'm looking around, I'm finding random maps with random modifiers and random mechanics put in them. It changes up the monotony. It doesn't feel boring and like you're doing the same thing over and over again. I know people like doing the same thing over and over again. PoE 1 players like running fortress maps with strong boxes, 100 maps over, 200 maps over, you name it. That's fine. You have a game called PoE 1. In PoE 2, what do I like? I like exploring and not knowing what I'm going to find and having that randomness element that breaks it up. There's unique maps. The unique maps aren't the best right now. They're okay. You do them just for your Atlas completion, for your Atlas points, but they need to add more. They have lineage support maps. You have your anomaly maps, right? The ones with the act bosses that drop the lineage support gems. That's cool. You got some target farming. You got things to explore and find. Citadels, yeah, they're not the most fun to chase them down, especially if you have bad RNG, but now you have something to look for. You're exploring, you're going out. It needs more support for sure. It needs reworks, but I think the essence of the Infinite Atlas is really good. I think PoE 2 took a big risk with this new endgame system, and it needs a lot of support, but the game's not out yet, guys. 1.0 still hasn't been announced. There's still a lot of support. There's 4 missing classes. There's so many things the game needs to add, but I think they should not give up on the Infinite Atlas. We know 0.5 is going to be the big endgame patch. I think they should keep the Infinite Atlas and just make it better. Add more interesting maps to find, more cool things to do with the Infinite Atlas, and more reasons to want to explore. Second thing, endgame bosses have purpose. I really like the way they have the bosses set up in PoE 2. If you want to go up in tiers of waystones, you do powerful map bosses. So you need a build that's good enough to do those powerful map bosses, or if your build's not that good enough, guess what? You can still be a good player, have good skill. If you're skilled enough and you can beat a powerful map boss, you'll get guaranteed the next tier of waystone, and you can progress through the waystone tiers very fast. I like that. I like that I'm chasing powerful map bosses so I can go up in those tiers in the very beginning. Of course, this is early in game. Content bosses, I like that. I want to farm every single tier of content bosses. If I like doing Breach, I'm going to fight Zesht at tier 1. I'm going to fight him at tier 2. And I'm going to fight him at tier 3. Why? Because I get Atlas points to further juice my Breach. I like that. It's not just, oh, I want to farm boss-specific drop uniques, which is cool. I like doing that. But then after that, you're like, oh, I don't care. Then beyond that, what else? Why else am I going to fight Zesht? Just to say, oh, look, I one-shot this guy and cool, I farmed a clip. Okay, cool. It's fun the first time for a league on a new build, and then it's like, okay, what next? I like that there's some kind of purpose to farming the first tier and then the second tier and then the third tier, and then maybe beyond that you want to keep farming the third tier, the hardest tier of the boss, to get boss uniques and things like that. So I like kind of that thing. Of course, they can do more to make these bosses have more purpose and more interesting items that they drop. Anomaly map bosses, of course, same thing with the lineage supports. You want to keep finding them, you want to farm them so you can get that Rakiata's Flow or that Garokhan's Resolve, those really strong lineage support gems. And finally, Arbiter. They actually added a purpose for Arbiter beyond just, that's the endgame boss. See if you can kill him. Boom, done. Now, by killing Arbiter, you can juice your tablets even further, making your maps much more rewarding, which is good. I like that. I like that now Arbiter isn't the final step in your Atlas journey. It's a big step, a pinnacle step to some degree, but then you have more to do. You can do more farming. You can get more benefit and reward in your future maps after you kill him. So there's a purpose to fighting him beyond just saying, hey, I beat him. Now, the third thing that I think must stay is progression. It's simple and fast. I kind of touched about it in the last point. I like the progression of the end game. It's really easy. I love that I can get to tier 15 maps super fast in PoE 2. And it makes sense. When I say super fast, I don't mean like I'm getting to it in like 3 maps. That's way too fast. But by the time I get tier 15 maps, my character is close to level 79 or whatever the level is. I think that's what it is, level 79, to match the monster level. I'm around that level when I'm farming tier 15 maps. So I'm progressing very well. I'm getting a good amount of XP. You compare that to something like PoE 1, at least in my experience, by the time I exit white maps, I'm already in like the 80s. So it's like I've far surpassed the point. But maybe that's a skill issue on my part. Maybe there's a bunch of PoE 1 players who go super fast. So they don't have that problem and they have a nice linear progression. But in my opinion, I like the simple, fast progression. You chase powerful map bosses, you go up in tiers. Corrupted Nexuses, very easy. I chase them down, I get my Atlas points. That's all I care about early end game. All I care about, Corrupted Nexuses. Just find corrupted zones, beeline one direction, go straight north. Find corrupted zones, get my points, focus on that first. Then I can focus on other things. Unique maps. Along the way, if I find cool unique maps, if I play SSF, I'm an SSF player. And if I find a nameless seer map, I'm going to pick that up. I don't remember if that one gets points or not. I don't think it does. But along the way, if I find unique maps, I'm going to do it up. And again, it breaks up the monotony of running these boring waystone maps over and over again. It breaks it up. It makes it interesting. It's not I'm just doing the same map over and over again with the same boss, the same objective. It's like, oh, I throw a unique map in there. I throw an anomaly boss map in there. I throw a citadel map in there. I'm just doing all these different maps as I go. And again, they need to add more. It's not perfect right now. But then after your unique maps, your corrupted nexuses, you get your all your Atlas points. Now you're chasing citadels, so you can do Arbiter. So you can unlock your tablets having 4 mods instead of 2. And now you can juice. Now you can go back to those corrupted zones and you have cleansed maps. And cleansed maps give really good rewards. They give increased rarity. Now you can juice those with your 4 modded tablets. I like that progression. It's very straightforward and simple. Of course, they need to do more. They need to improve the direction. They need to add some quests. All right. So those are the 3 things I think should stay. And of course, this is a big context in endgame. The campaign is pretty much well received to a large degree. Of course, there's some pain points in the campaign, but what about the must go things? What are the things I think absolutely must go, or at the very least need a hard rework because I don't like them? So, the first thing, ultra punishing deaths. Guys, this is a very, very uncontroversial point. You get XP loss, you get content loss, you get map loss, and if you're doing a trial, you get trial loss. So you get like double whammies, triple whammies all the time. If you die in a map, you lose a bunch of XP, you can't progress. You can't add more passive points or make your character stronger. That sucks. That hurts, especially casual players. Of course, if you're somewhat of a well-rounded player, not necessarily a super blaster, I consider myself a casual, but at least I know kind of how to circumvent that, work on my defenses, or play better next time so I can't do that. But casuals, I'm sure that's already steep enough, just the XP loss alone. Then when you're doing a map and you die, especially at the boss, what happens? You can't use tablets anymore. You lose content. You don't get your strong boxes. You don't get your breach, your abyss, your whatever you're running. You lose all of that. So you lose both XP and you lose the ability to put tablets on. That's crazy. Then you have map loss. There's certain maps like unique maps, anomaly boss maps, etc. Or if you're doing a map with 6 mods, which you're incentivized to do because it gives you the best rewards and you want to push your build and try to get to that point, then you lose the entire map. The map is failed, right? If you try a citadel with a map that, has too many mods on it, or you misread a mod or something happened, you lose the map. And then that sucks. You got to find a new map now. The trial, we all know, Trial of Sekimas and both the Trial of Sekimas and the Trial of Chaos. Really punishing mods. Really, really, really tough. Really annoying to go through. Everyone agrees with this. and you can get to the fourth floor of a Sekima's run, and you lose your honor, and you lose the entire trial, and you have to find another key, and you have to do it all over again from the start. Horrible. Then you lose the XP loss if you died in it. If you're doing Trial of Chaos, you'd lose XP. It's all bad. So ultra punishing deaths need to go. GGG, please. I'm not saying we need to make the game easy, and we should not punish deaths. We should encourage people care about defenses and not just play glass cannon ultra DPS builds all the time. I understand that. But double whammies, triple whammies, they're not the most fun. If you want to add XP loss, I'd say maybe like 5% at level 90 plus, and then maybe at 65 plus when you're barely entering the end game, maybe 2% or something, 2.5%, something that's significant enough that, oh, I don't want to keep dying, but not so significant that you're going to halt your progress. Then once you get to 90, maybe you keep it at 5%. Once you get to 95, maybe you put it back to 10%. Maybe scale it a little bit better. Or at the very least, if I do a 6 modded map, make it so I don't lose my map, but I lose XP if I die. Something or the other. Pick one. All right, second thing that must go. And this kind of ties in to those deaths, is the bad monster mods, map mods, and map layouts. So let's talk about this. The name of the game in PoE 2 right now is slows. Is it any wonder the Pathfinder Ascendancy is one of the most popular ascendancies right now, especially when you're talking about the 0.4 league? No, it's not a wonder. Why? Because they are unaffected by slows, and when they're sprinting, they cannot get heavy stunned. Why is that a big deal? Well, it's because there's slows everywhere. It's not a big deal because, this niche case or what. No, slows are everywhere. Let me tell you the slows that are everywhere. You have chill, you have like just slowing, you have hinder, you have temporal bubble, you have all these modifiers. Chilled ground, temporal chains on maps. You have monster mods and you have map mods that slow. And in a game designed and balanced around dodge roll, movement, moving around and trying not to get hit, having slows like this makes no sense in my opinion. If you want to balance the game around dodge roll, movement, not getting hit, why do you have these slows? Why do you have these terrible slows left and right? I don't understand why. But let's say they want to keep slows in because they think it's important to keep in crowd control. Fine. You know that's not the only thing that slows you. Monster mods and map mods. You know what else slows you? Skinny paths, like the Meyer map. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but I kind of put an image on screen that kind of gives you somewhat of an idea of what it might look like, which is these narrow little walkways. And Meyer is a map that's full of those narrow little walkways that easily you can get sandwiched and stuck by monsters coming on both sides. It's horrible. That prevents your movement again. Then you have clutter. You have Blooming Field. Blooming Field is the endgame map version of the map you do in Act 1. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one with the Crowbell boss. If you look at that map in the campaign in Act 1, beautiful open map, a lot of grass everywhere, a lot of movement anywhere you go. There's a lot of places to move, and then there's some vines towards the end and some rocks and stuff, though, so it gets a little cluttered on the edges. But if you just walk through the middle, you're fine. You have lots of mobility. But you know what they did for the endgame version, Blooming Field, which is the same version of that map with the Crowbell boss? They put vines everywhere. They put hills everywhere. They put rocks everywhere. So when you're dodge rolling, you're getting stuck. If you storm wave the monk skill and you shoot a storm wave, it collides with the terrain and doesn't hit the mob you're hitting. It is crazy to me that a game, so again, balanced and designed around dodge roll and movement, has so much clutter, skinny paths, slow, all this stuff. GGG, please. Everyone's questioning. GGG, like what's the design philosophy around PoE 2? What's the vision? But the biggest point in my opinion is I know the clear point of PoE 2. It's movement. It's not just spam your frost blink or your flame dash like PoE 1 and just blink around everywhere. This is around dodge roll and sprinting and dodging boss hits and things like that. So why are there so many things in the game that prevent that? That needs to go, or it needs to be reworked severely. It's really bad for the game. It's unfun. No one enjoys playing it. Okay, now moving forward, extra damage. That's another mod I don't like. I don't like that when I'm crafting a map that I have to like throw away the map because it's bad. I don't like that I can get extra cold, extra fire, extra chaos all on one map. I think it needs to be toned down a little bit. There's some rares that get insane extra damage too, extra physical damage, aura, extra chaos damage, blah 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 blah, and it's just painful. And it's like, what do you do against it? If you're early in the campaign and you're not chaos res capped, or if you have an evasion based build but you don't have a ton of evasion yet, so you're not playing armor and you take physical damage, you just get one tapped by these rares, and it feels really bad. Guys, tone down the extra damage or make it so only one extra damage type can be added. Something. Do something to kind of figure that out. It's really annoying. And this ties into the last point about dying. A lot of deaths are caused by these things on this list. And the final point is the Ascendancy Trial mods. We know the Trial of Chaos, for example, rough. Some of the mods, rough. The Sekima Trial, some of the mods are insane. Like when you get slowed, when you get hit, or certain mobs just explode because there's rares that have these damage mods as well. It's awful. So I think they need to tone down some of the extra damage and slows and all the, and the worst thing is all of these mods can be combined. Extra damage plus slows and everything can be combined together. That's the worst part. GGG, please, we need to look at this. And the final point, the final thing that must go, in my opinion, and I'm kind of a soft must go on this because I want to give it a chance, but I kind of touched upon it already. It's a Trial of Sekimas. I know this is super polarizing. I know a lot of people don't necessarily mind Sekimas or Sanctum as a mechanic in PoE 2, but I think it's pretty well agreed upon that the Trial of Sekimas suck. And why does it suck? There's two potential solutions or problems we can address here. The first thing is the honor system. The honor system sucks. I don't think this has any place in a loot RPG. And yes, I called it loot RPG on purpose. I don't like calling it ARPG because ARPG means action RPG, and you know, Crimson Desert is an action RPG, and you can call Souls-like games action RPGs too, but I call them loot RPGs. Separate point, tangent aside, just like Borderlands and Warframe, they're looter shooters. Anyways, we don't do no hits in this game, okay? Unless you're playing a block build or a super high evasion build, you're not getting hit. You have too many small mobs. You have too many packs of monsters. They're going to throw one tiny little projectile at you, and you're going to get hit. The honor system sucks. This doesn't work in a loot RPG, in my opinion. It doesn't work. Unless you're playing a giga evasion build or a giga block build, and even if that's the case, they have caps. You will get hit at some point. Or you're incentivized to do what? Not care about your defenses as much and just delete everything off screen so they don't have a chance to touch you. That's bad design, especially for PoE 2. That does not belong. I think the honor system sucks. So that's one potential solution here. Get rid of the honor system and maybe only keep honor for that special trial run where you're trying to farm the temporalis, the one where you cannot get hit a single time. Fine, maybe you do that. Or maybe you give a like limited honor system, like you only have 100 honor, you have to get through the trial while doing it, and then you can get temporalis or whatever the rewards are. But in general, the regular trial, there's no place for the honor system, in my opinion. It sucks. Get rid of it. And then you can keep Trial of Sekimas as is, and I think it'll be a little more tolerable. It'll still be annoying. There'll still be mods that'll be annoying, but I think it'll be way more tolerable because you can get hit and heal. Just don't die. You play the game normal like you've been playing the rest of the game. Second possible solution is one floor per tier. What do I mean by that? If you're doing the Trial of Sekimas for your first ascendancy point, you only have to do one floor. Right? You see the image on screen, you have to start from that very left node, and you have to make it all the way to that very right node, which is a boss, and you need to finish it. Now, if you're doing the Trial of Sekimas for your second ascendancy point, which you can't really do that. You have to do chaos for your second one. But let's just say if you're trying to get your second point and you're doing Sekimas again, now you have to do this floor, the image on screen. You have to do this first floor from left all the way to the right, kill that boss. Then you enter a second floor and you have to do left to right again. And then the end boss is a different boss. Why do I have to do 2 floors now? And then when I go for my third ascendancy points, what do I have to do 3 floors? When I do my fourth ascendancy point, why do I have to do 4 floors? I don't get it. Failing after doing 3 floors because it's so time consuming. And failing at the end on the 4th floor when you're so close to the boss, or when you get to the boss and he does some attack that depletes all your honor. It sucks so bad because you cannot resume from a checkpoint. You have to do it all over again. And you lose the key. It sucks. It sucks really bad. So a second solution they could do, if they want to keep the honor system for whatever reason, is just make it so if I'm doing my 4th ascendancy point, make it so I only have to do 1 floor. But instead of doing this one you see on screen with the rattle cage boss, which is for your first ascendancy point trial, right, the easiest Sekima trial, just skip me to the 4th floor already. Make it so I'm doing the hardest floor. I start from left to right, and then I have to fight Zarok, the time boss. I have to fight him at the end. Just let me skip to that, do that 1 floor. If they did that, it'd be great. And a similar thing you could be said about Trial of Chaos as well. If they were to do that, instead of having to do 10 waves 3 different times, so I get the 3 keys, so then I can finally fight the Trial Master, why not just let me do the 10 waves, fight the Trial Master, and then do it again? I don't know why they want us to do 4 floors on Sekimas and 10 waves 3 times on Trial of Chaos, but either way, Trial of Chaos for me is way more enjoyable, way more tolerable. But yes, in any case, that's it, guys. That's my 3 must stays, 3 must goes. Let me know what you think about my opinions in the comment section below. Let me know what's your 3 must stays and your 3 must goes in PoE 2. Hoping 0.5 is a good patch. See you guys next time. Peace.